Moving from the monitor artworks, there were over 100 colorful, interactive, flickering butterflies flapping their wings in a dark room. The first artwork in the museum is called The Forest of Flowers and People. This first world essentially captures the essence of the museum. The absolute beauty of the forest caused my mouth to physically drop. It was such a serene and calm atmosphere, and the imitation of nature sounds could be heard. Every art was unceasingly moving freely, and it was altered by real time. While walking around in a state of awe, the entire forest from every direction on the wall and floor was covered with red, yellow, pink, orange, and blue interactive blooming flowers. Yellow interactive butterflies, green and red butterflies, green and blue butterflies freely flapped their wings as they joyfully moved around the flowers. On one side of the wall were thousands of bunched gorgeous red flowers. The interactive petals were slowly scattering all throughout the wall. This scene was reminiscent to an endless sea of colorful grounds and colorful trees entirely blanketed by the absolute beauty of blooming flowers gradually caught by the wind. It was such a mesmerizing and magical scene that appeared to be transpiring in real life. In several of the rooms were unique monitor artworks that depicted certain animals and birds. The first interactive painting was that of a furious tiger. There was a gray screen shaped in the pattern of bricks. As the thousands of tiny yellow and red flowers gradually appeared, the right side of a yellow tiger magically came together. The sparkling red and yellow pieces slowly formed the head of a tiger. As the remaining pieces began to connect and form the rest of the tiger, like a painter putting the finishing touches on his painting, the tiger's head gradually descended and ascended within several seconds. This movement depicted the tiger on the verge of pouncing on his prey. Suddenly, the tiger raised his right red and orange paw and placed it on the ground. The scene depicted was that of a tiger catching a mouse, for example. The tiger repeated the steps a second time, and in a fluid motion. Then the entire picture, including the green grass and blue sky, began to take full shape. The tiger moved his body backwards as if he was about to launch towards his prey. The tiger elevated his paw from the ground and then sat his paw back down. The tiger gradually launched forward and his mouth began to open. Then, the tiger aggressively and slowly reached forward, and this time, his left paw ascended and then touched the ground. By this time, the red and yellow pieces had altered to black and yellow colors. Subsequently, the tiger tilted his head to the right and raised it to the sky. His mouth was open in an aggressive manner, like he would be attacking his prey at any moment. Furthermore, the tiger tilted his head to the left and raised and lowered his right paw. His orange and black tail wiggled At that moment, the particles forming the tiger started to disappear. The tiger became exceedingly blurry, and within several seconds, the gray screen reappeared. Another artwork that I observed was called the light sculpture space. Hidden in another area was the beautiful and magnificent light sculpture space. As I entered into a pitch black room that was replete with mirrors on the floor, I noticed suddenly 4 small bright lights appearing from the ceiling. The lights became lightning rods, which multiplied as they remarkably spun in a circular direction. While the rods remained fixed in their location, the sound of drum beats echoed in the background. I then directed my attention towards the wall to find about 16 giant dazzling strobe rods connected in the middle to other rods which were spread out. The strobes rapidly began to expand. The sound of a loud wind dominated the area as a signal that something was about to happen. By this time, the strobes had reached the ceiling. The light show commenced. The long light strobes began to constantly twist like a corkscrew as they descended. On the right side, the light strobes descended, twisted, and stopped. In the same room was another artwork. This one was unfolded with dark green, blue, and purple lights slowly moving in the room. The next area I explored was the interactive waterfalls. In front of the room was a huge interactive waterfall. Next to the waterfall were enormous rocks where people congregated to take photos. When I walked over to the waterfall, I had the impression that I was standing under an actual waterfall. On both sides of the waterfall, there were pink and purple flowers. Thousands of precious interactive blue and pink flowers on the floor moved unceasingly. Every time I stepped on the flowers on the ground floor, the petals dispersed. Alright, so we're here in the teamLab, and right behind us is the animated waterfall. This is just an incredible place. Do you like it so far?
Yes, this is so incredible and amazing. Look at that. Everything is moving. This is Madonna. And I'm here. Wow.
So this is moving animation, particles, objects, really exciting and really sort of romantic place to be.
Yes. So happy to be here. And I'm here. Okay, look.
As you can see behind us,
Wow, that's
tree. This is really neat. Very impressive. The artwork is just incredible. Wow. And then behind us, streaks. Wow. And then lightning, thunder. Not too far from the interactive waterfall was the magnificent crystal world, which was identified by the beautiful shining light crystals. I followed a path around curtains of crystals which illuminated the area, giving off a blue ray of light. As I turned the corner, the area turned black and the curtains of crystals turned to a bright pink color. I continued to maneuver around the crystals, which altered from a pink color to a white color with shades of pink, blue, and red on some of the crystals. The colors alternated on the crystals consistently. When I looked up to the ceiling of the towering lines of crystals, it was like a huge crystal forest. The colored lights on the crystals appeared to be descending at a high rate of speed. Then the colors changed to red and then to blue on the crystals. I found an area covered by crystals on all 4 sides. I truly felt I was in a crystal universe. so spectacular. And it's like a rainforest of lights. Really, really cool. Like curtains of light. Really neat. Crystal universe. Another area we explored was the Forest of Lamps. Unlike the Crystal World, the staff will limit the room to only 20 visitors per 2-minute session. Perhaps the reason for this limit is due in part to the small size of the room. While in the room, there were over 1,000 motion-sensitive Venetian lamps suspending from the ceiling. The floors were noticeably made of glass mirrors that reflected on both me and the lamps. As I stood close to a lamp, I noticed the color increased in brightness. Eventually, the lamps altered from intense and vibrant blue and pink colors to orange and green colors. Once the lamp changed the color, the lamps next to it also altered colors in a synchronized way. The process continued throughout the entire room. This Borderless-like exhibition is perfect for Instagrammers and photographers. Alright, so we are here in the resonating forest lamps area, and these lamps change pretty periodically, so really, really neat. Yes. This is really, really neat. Spectacular. The final exhibit was the tea house. The tea house was also a cool exhibition. There were 4 selections of teas available to try. I selected the green tea with yuzu, which was very oishi. Yuzu is a citrus fruit. This particular drink was 500 yen or $4.50. Once the drink was purchased, a staff escorted me to a dark lit room where I took a seat at a communal table. While sitting down, I gently placed my tea on the table. Within about 3 seconds, an animated flower on the table started to bloom inside the teacup. Like the flowers in the flower forest and the butterflies in the butterfly house in the Borderless world, the moment I picked up the cup from the table, the flowers suddenly and sadly started to wilt and die. The interactive leaves dispersed all over the table. It was when I sat the cup back down on the table, however, I could see a brand new flower blooming in front of me. For several minutes, I intentionally left my cup on the table and watched in awe at the blooming of the interactive flower. When that time had elapsed, I picked up the cup and enjoyed the rest of my oishi tea. There was a myriad of exhibits at the Digital Museum. These were just some of the exhibits that I shared in this video. Some of these exhibits are seasonal, and other exhibits are year-round. Regardless of the time of the year that you visit the museum, you may find that the themes of the museum change constantly. The museum is truly an experience that I will never forget. At the present moment, the images are etched in my mind. The creativity in art is mind-blowing and spectacular. The teamLab Borderless is a special place to visit in Tokyo. The opening hours vary by season. The cost of admission for adults was 3,200 yen or $30.39 and 1,000 yen or $9.50 for ages 4 to 14.